Lucia and Gordon's final night of horrors, when monsters take over. Gordon had seen his fair share of monsters in his life. From the grotesque hairy spiders that lurked in his dreams, to the vile ogres that lurked in the shadows of his house, he was no stranger to the nightmarish beasts that stalked him. It all started a few weeks ago when he began having strange encounters with a mysterious woman named Lucia. He had seen her around town, always wearing a long black cloak and her face always hidden in the shadows. He only saw her a few times, but each time she gave him an unnerving feeling that he couldn't explain. He tried to ignore her and moved on with his life, but she still lingered in the back of his mind. Gordon started having vivid dreams about Lucia and the monsters she summoned. In these dreams, she would summon slithering creatures with sharp claws and fanged teeth out of the shadows. He would wake up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding in his chest. He was terrified, and his fear started to slowly eat away at him. One night, Gordon woke to the sound of screams coming from outside his house. He looked out of his window and saw Lucia surrounded by the monsters she had summoned. He tried to open his door to help her, but it was locked from the outside. As he watched in horror, the monsters dragged Lucia away into the night. He shouted her name, but it was too late. Over the next few weeks, Gordon searched the town for Lucia, but had no luck. He began to fear the worst, that she had been taken by the monsters and was never coming back. He started having nightmares about the monsters and Lucia, her screams echoing in his mind. He would wake up each morning feeling exhausted and haunted by her screams. Finally, one day Gordon had had enough. He decided to take matters into his own hands and track down the monsters. He traipsed through the woods, searching for signs of the monsters. After hours of searching, he eventually stumbled across a large cave where the monsters lived. He crept inside, not sure what to expect. As he stepped into the darkness, he heard the faint sound of a woman crying. It was coming from a small chamber in the corner of the cave. He followed the cries, and eventually came across Lucia. She was chained to the wall, and the monsters were gathered around her. Lucia had a look of sheer terror in her eyes as the monsters closed in on her. Gordon shouted and tried to fight them off, but they were too strong. The monsters dragged Gordon and Lucia back to their lair, and the last thing Gordon remembered was Lucia screaming as the monsters' claws ripped into him. When Gordon awoke, he was horrified to find himself in a large chamber filled with the corpses of the monsters. He was the only survivor, and Lucia was nowhere to be seen. He walked out of the cave, and found himself standing in front of Lucia's house. He opened the door and found her lifeless body lying on the floor, her throat cut open. Gordon collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down his face. He had failed to save her. He eventually made it back to his own house, and he never spoke of what happened that night ever again. But every time he closed his eyes, he could still hear Lucia's screams echoing in his mind. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and tell us what you think in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.